Have you ever carried a weight too heavy to bear? Have you ever felt abandoned, pressed down by sorrow, misunderstood by those around you? His pain was not far from ours. It was for ours. The people mocked. The earth trembled, the heavens darkened. Yet beneath the noise a mystery stirred. Was this defeat, or the beginning of something greater? Could death itself be undone? Listen closely. Let the echoes of the hammers and the silence of the tomb speak to your soul. For this is not just history. It is hope. Not just tragedy. It is triumph. This is the Bible story of the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. It was morning in Jerusalem. The city was restless. The air was thick with whispers, tension, and fear. Who was this man that stirred both love and hatred? Why was he led like a criminal, though he had done no wrong? The answer unfolds on a hill called Golgotha. Jesus carried the heavy wooden cross on his torn shoulders. Every step was slow, every breath ragged. The crowd pressed around him, some shouting curses, some weeping in silence. Roman soldiers barked orders, their armor clanking with every move. The weight grew unbearable, and he stumbled, crashing to the ground. Would he rise again, or would he collapse beneath the burden? Soldiers pulled a man from the crowd, Simon of Cyrene, and forced him to carry the cross. Their eyes met. Pain met love. Exhaustion met strength. Along the way, women cried out in grief. Their voices rose above the roar of the crowd. Yet even in agony, he told them not to weep for him, but for themselves and for their children. Who thinks of others while their own body is breaking? Only this man. The hill came into view, dry and rocky, its name Golgotha, the place of the skull. Here Rome displayed its power, here criminals met their end, and here the Son of God was to be lifted up. Soldiers stripped him, gambling for his clothes. They stretched his arms wide across the wood. Hammers struck iron through flesh and bone. The sound echoed across the hill, piercing the hearts of all who heard. Crowds gathered, some mocking, some questioning, some watching in sorrow. If he truly is who he claims, why doesn't he come down, they wondered. Yet he remained, nailed between two criminals. One hurled insults, the other saw innocence and begged to be remembered. Even then, hanging in pain, he offered hope. Then a cry broke the stillness. My God, why have you forsaken me? It is finished." He bowed his head and gave up his spirit. At that moment the earth shook violently, rocks split apart, graves opened, and in the temple the great curtain was torn in two, from top to bottom. Heaven itself declared the truth. Even the hardened centurion at the cross confessed, surely this was the Son of God. The place of death had become a place of revelation. Evening came. A follower named Joseph of Arimathea asked for the body. With gentleness they wrapped him and laid him in a new tomb carved from rock. A heavy stone sealed the entrance. And so the day ended in silence, grief, and unanswered questions. The Sabbath passed. Jerusalem lay in uneasy silence. The city that once roared with voices now held its breath. The tomb was sealed, guarded by Roman soldiers, the stone too heavy to move. At dawn on the first day of the week, women came to the tomb. Their hands carried spices, their hearts carried sorrow. But when they reached the place, the massive stone was rolled away, not by human hands, but by the power of heaven itself. The women gasped. The tomb stood open, and inside, it was empty. The body was gone. Confusion and fear filled their hearts. Had someone taken him? Was this another act of cruelty? But suddenly, light filled the tomb. An angel in shining garments appeared, Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He has risen, just as he said. Their sorrow turned to awe. Could it be true? Could death itself have been defeated? They ran, their feet pounding the ground, their voices breathless with the impossible news. The disciples, weary and afraid, at first doubted their words. But Peter, desperate and restless, raced to the tomb. He saw the linen cloths lying there. The body was gone. That evening, the risen one appeared to his disciples. The doors were locked, fear gripping their hearts. Yet suddenly, he stood among them. Peace filled the room, though they trembled. He showed them his hands, still marked by the nails. Joy overcame fear. Death had not won. The grave had no hold. Over the days that followed, he appeared again and again, on the road to Emmaus, by the sea, on a mountain in Galilee. He ate with them, walked with them, taught them. Every moment carried the same truth. He was alive. And as he prepared to return to the Father, he gave them a promise. I am with you always, to the very end of the age. From the agony of the cross to the triumph of the empty tomb, the story was complete. The man who was crucified now stood as conqueror. Sin was silenced. Death was defeated. Hope was alive forevermore. This is the story of the hill called Golgotha, and the morning when the stone was rolled away. The cross stood on the hill, and it seemed as if darkness had won. The stone was rolled in place, and it seemed as if hope was gone. The city returned to silence, yet the earth still remembered. The shaking ground, the torn curtain, the broken sky. But the silence did not last. The tomb could not hold him. The grave could not keep him. Death itself was undone. From sorrow came joy. From defeat came victory. From the shadow of the cross came the light of an empty tomb. And now I ask you, have you ever stood in the dark, wondering if the dawn would come? Have you ever felt the weight of endings, longing for a new beginning? The story does not stop at the cross. It rises with him. His victory is the promise that no night lasts forever. The crowds who wept now sing. The disciples who hid now proclaim. The world that thought it ended now begins again. This is the Bible story of the crucifixion and the resurrection of Jesus Christ.